The April 25th, 2016 annual meeting of the Local Development Finance Authority Troy Subcommittee to order. Roll call, please. Mr. Lakeman.
Yep. Madam Chair, Robin Beltramini.
Here.
Paul Huff. Present. John Sharp. David Shields. Here. Nicholas Vitale. Irene Spanos.
Here.
Alternate Ellen Hoderick.
Here.
Alternate Mayor Dane Slater. And that is it.
Thank you.
We
Quorum
have a
present. Quorum present. The next item on the agenda is the annual election of officers. Currently, Mr. Miller serves as Secretary Treasurer. I serve as Chairman. We will entertain a motion for nominations.
Nominate the slate as presented.
Oh, that wasn't a presentation of the slate. If you want to carry on what's left, carry on what's been. Yeah, it wasn't a presentation.
Okay,
You can
sorry.
change. You can nominate yourself if you'd like.
I like who's listed already, so.
Is that a second?
I would second that, yes.
Thank you. Any other comments, nominations? All right, all those in favor of the current leadership continuing for another year, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. We appreciate your confidence.
We appreciate your service.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, you received the October minutes in your packet. Did anyone see any adjustments that needed to be made?
I did not.
Therefore, concurrent with our practice, we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Shield. It's been moved and seconded that these minutes be approved as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I skipped over number 4. It is the regular meeting schedule. We voted on it in October when we were all here. It has not changed. We are meeting today, and we will meet again at a regular meeting for October 24th, 2016, again at 3:30. But there's no action that needs to be taken. That just needs to be told. Old business, Automation Alley Smart Zone update. Mr. Miller, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had submitted a summary which we had given to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and the Michigan Department of Treasury, and it told a long, torrid story of everything we've done to this date. And on June 14th, the staff at MED said, unfortunately, they're not processing their applications. And the story was that the Steve Arwood, the executive director, president of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and the state treasurer were going to get together, also with the governor's office to develop policies for the smart zones going in the future. And the reason for that is there's 3 that are really close in the queue, which is us, Spark, which is Ann Arbor, and Adrian, and I forgot Port Huron, which is our satellite, and Michigan, Houghton, Hancock with the satellite in Marquette. So, and then there was legislation that enabled 10 others. So there's all these other smart zones that are scrambling to come in behind us. But those 3 groups I mentioned are right like at the 1 yard line. And so what was funny is after we sent out the agenda, I had a conference call with MEDC staff and Treasury staff, and they issued policies for that, and they told us that they're going to start processing the smart zone extensions. They're going to concentrate on the satellites because they're not capturing any money. They want to move that along. I think the most important thing to note would be on the last page of the 3 pages on the policy under SZ, which stands for Smart Zone TIF policy. Number 1, they're going to limit what the satellites can capture from state education tax and operating tax dollars. It doesn't really affect us unless Port Huron doesn't like it a lot and they want to back out. The second one does affect us. Basically, it would take, from the time the extension starts, which is 2018, it would limit the growth. It would set a new base, but only, when I say base, it's the tax valuation in the zone, and on the last year of the current plan, and then only for the school operating in the state education tax, that would only be allowed to grow from that point to no more than 25% over the life. Now, the state education tax capture really is not that dramatic in our plan. I think it's only $10,000, so that growth would be limited. At first, when I read that, I thought it meant the whole, yeah, because I actually asked the question more than once, because they keep saying new tax capture, but they're only talking about school-related taxes, taxing jurisdictions. So it looks like we will be moving forward, but given past practice, I wouldn't hold my breath. I would start holding my breath in 4 months, but I don't know exactly how long. With that, I think it's good news, because it means we are moving forward. And as I said, our existing plan does not even expire until 2018, so we're not missing out on any capture.
And we have no problem meeting any of these specified requirements.
So
Being
have-
able to articulate how we've met them.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. We actually were given this information by MEDC staff in, I could go look at the exact
July?
date. No, maybe not July, but in, let me look, because I do have it documented. I think they asked for it in November, and we gave it to them in December. Yeah. Yep. And much of this information was in there, but what they said is, if you didn't gather this information in the past, it's not the end of the world, but you need to do it in the future. So we can do this, no problem.
Okay.
And the only problem, if you can call it problem, might be that Port Huron might not like the first provision.
Correct.
And it was 2 years to deal with that. Any sense that they had an issue with this, provision 1?
No, to be honest, but we're in process of contacting them and talking with them. I will tell you, on the conference call, their staff person didn't blink an eye or say anything.
Okay. Thank you.
They don't have a whole lot of other options in that, I don't think that, well, they certainly can't form a smart zone themselves because those are limited. Right.
Correct.
So it would be some other kind of TIF district that they might be able to do, and that would be pretty much the only thing, but it would have to come under one of the state allowable districts.
As you may recall, they had an existing LDFA, which they were part of, and that was a good thing, because they had the required budgeted money, operating money that was required to be a satellite. So I think the smart zone helps them continue longer and capture more dollars, and I think they may lose some capture, but I don't think I hope it won't kill the deal.
Any other questions, concerns, something to think about?
Just glad that finally got these and
Yeah,
moving forward to
really.
process them.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mark, for the update. We appreciate it, and we know you'll keep us posted. Who wants to talk about Move Across Troy? You or Glenn?
I do.
Good.
So, as the city has changed our master planning and our zoning ordinance and codes, and we're trying to make it more walkable, make street life more active, we find that there's a problem and that people are just walking across Big Beaver at midpoint. Now here, if you ever drive out, I hope I'm pointing the right way, over our main driveway onto Big Beaver, you see many residents of the Marriott walking across the street, and it's rather dangerous. And so down on this end of the street, which is in the smart zone or touching the smart zone, we had a few businesses come to us concerned for their employees crossing to the restaurants on the north side of Big Beaver. And now there's even restaurants on the south side. There's a Coney Island and a Tim Hortons, I believe.
Yep.
So we here at City Hall have developed these ideas and concepts by utilizing OHM, our engineering firm, but traffic engineering firm, and also the urban designers, to develop a concept which is approvable at the road commission, because this is a road commission road. And what you see can be done. In this, the city manager's budget that's being presented to council and coming up to be approved, there's allocated $500,000 for this project. And as a side note, your budget includes an infrastructure line item, and that's for this project also. And I believe it's,
72.
I think it's, yes, no, this is 2017 budget year,
Oh.
53,000. But we'll talk a little bit more about that. And so as part of this is, we're gonna have to, we'll see if city council adopts the budget, we'll have to start costing this out. But, and we're gonna try to take this concept and apply it at other places on Big Beaver, more in the Downtown Development Authority. And as you note, that says a pointer. The concept includes bus stops also.
Yes.
Because there's a city strategy adopted this year, and that's to provide transportation service on Big Beaver. A lot of people call it like a trolley service, but it doesn't mean a real trolley. But that's so you can get people, like at lunchtime, moving to places in the evening, and maybe even connect the transit center.
We would partner with
Very
Smart on
nice.
that.
Yeah.
Very nice.
We're trying to make this cool,
Yeah.
different, and inviting, but we'll see how, I don't know if it would be acceptable to spend much more than $500,000.
No, it's surprising how much. it's
Well, then that doesn't even include the light, the signalization improvements, which I think is about, off the top of my head, $200,000. But we're gonna see if we can get some private companies to donate who would want to contribute to this, because we did have a CEO of one company in the Smart Zone come to the city manager to talk about this. Pretty cool concepts.
Yes, very nice.
And the signalization would be pedestrian activated as well, so they can get across.
This will be monumental in that the road commission is allowing us to stop traffic like this for pedestrians.
Yeah, no kidding, such a busy thoroughfare. It's all well thought out and doesn't need comment, but I'm just curious, you would think with a bus stop, that would, clog things up a little bit more, and that might be good, so it allows the pedestrians to get across, but it also may allow for more confusion and possibly accidents.
But there are currently bus stops on Big Beaver.
Yeah.
There's one right out in front of the Marriott as an example. To be honest, I don't know where they're all at.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, but they don't have shelters,
Right, no.
just a smart sign with the schedule.
Actually, a shelter sitting out on the curb like that brings more attention to it, so people kind of expect from time to time a bus to stop.
I was gonna say, part of the issue is that the random pedestrian that may be walking along New Beaver is not a sight you normally see. It's not unexpected, and that's where the accidents start occurring. When the drivers are not looking out for it, the pedestrian's not looking out for it. If you're amongst other people, other pedestrians in a group, in a crowd, it becomes part of the environment, part of the traffic. You recognize it, you plan for it.
Yeah.
And if it's safe, more and more people will use it that way.
The truth is if you spend any time, and I find myself doing it, not to just go on the word of people and whatnot, people are walking, biking, and crossing Big Beaver
Absolutely.
in significant numbers.
Yes.
And it's
Just
amazing to
increasing.
me that we haven't had, heaven forbid, a safety issue with pedestrians. Sometimes we do hear questions from folks saying, well, who's walking that? No one walks it. Well, they are. And that's a good thing. That's an
Absolutely.
economic driver, so it's in our master plan. You guys keep working this, I know you do, and you keep the dialogue going, and I can't speak for the entire city council, but I'm all over this idea and trying to enable this as best we can, so it's interesting to see your response to it here. Yeah.
I assume ultimately, or maybe not, that there might be availability for sponsors in those bus stops, which would defray costs.
So what we're doing right now is we're bringing together a focus team of leaders, some of them in the executive director of Automation Alley, Jim Scapa from Altair, and Alan Kurlick, and I can't remember if there's anyone else. We're gonna come and talk to them, present this to them, and talk about the best way to seek sponsorship for this.
Right. You know, ultimately, it would be nice to have just that nice colorful forum without extra signage or sponsorship, but it is day and age where you have to maximize as much as
Well,
you can.
part of our thought is that we have the corporate community come to us. And I think we're providing a commitment, if it's approved in the budget, pretty big commitment towards this, and
Yeah.
hopefully some people will come forward to help make it a better community from a corporate standpoint.
The private-public dynamic, I think, the potential is there. You can feel this energy toward this from all, it's not one-sided, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
And that's when we tend to run into a wall in terms of getting something off the ground. I don't think in this case that it is, you have multiple people from multiple factions that are connected to this idea and this way of thinking. So,
And corporations are encouraging their staff to walk more
Absolutely.
on breaks, lunch hour. This just facilitates some of the corporate culture that we're seeing in the wellness area. I love it. I think it looks beautiful.
And
Love
it, you know, you put up some kind of sponsorship signage, it doesn't have to be a billboard.
No, it's
You
not
know,
to be
if
big.
there's,
It's
if there's a
little,
sign
yeah,
there with the
right.
bus schedule on it, that can be presented by with a banner head and footer. It's there anyway, and it's the only thing there to read, so put somebody's name on it.
So, I think this is wonderful too. I think it's gorgeous. I do have a couple questions, and I don't know the answer to this. Like the first one, we look at the median. So you have people crossing here, and then they have to walk this distance and cross here. Is there any concern that somebody's gonna cross here and then just try to run straight across? In other words, is the length of this median such something would defer, well, something that lazy people or people in a hurry would attempt to just jaywalk from?
Well, it has not been a concern to this point, but I think by creating an inviting environment, and an interesting environment, we're trying to make people want to walk through that area. I mean, we really did something that we don't do for pedestrian crossing. We actually used OHM's urban designers to make it that way. I understand what you're saying, but it's
Just a
certainly
question.
better
I
than
know
now.
the answer to that.
Because currently, the people working here in this area, you know, there's a crosswalk down there, you know, they don't walk there.
That's right.
This is better.
Oh, yeah, now, what's the length of that median? What do you think is it to scale with the bus there?
The scale is,
Oh, I don't know.
you got a scale here.
Aha, well, let's see.
So it's
So
probably
60,
a
that 60 feet is about an inch?
little over.
Is that right? Is that what that means?
Yeah, a little over, from the 0 to the 60, so it's about inch and a quarter, inch and a half.
Yeah, that's an inch.
So this is
You're looking at about 180
200
feet.
Yeah, 200 feet or
About 60
so.
yards. And so probably 50, like 50 yards, they'd have to walk about 50 yards in the median. Summertime, I think people would love it. I'm wondering if in the wintertime, people are gonna wanna just try to hurry across the street.
You do have shelters along the way, though. I mean, that's an enticement in
yeah.
inclement weather.
Oh, for
Yeah.
precipitation, not for winter.
Does this utilize the existing turnarounds? Is that why this is this way?
Yes, and some of the existing signalization. This would be,
Okay.
right here, if you look up here,
Yeah.
this will be the only new signalization, but as a person that goes to the ice arena back here, and actually, this will make it easier to get in there. This is, you really have
Yes.
to bolt across.
Yeah.
So
It
I,
is beautiful, it is beautiful.
yeah, and I think that in and of itself, you know, let's
you-
hope
I'm
that
sorry.
people aren't lazy. If they're out.
Yeah, that's the next question is, do you foresee there being events? I mean, you're looking at 20 yards wide by 60 yards long. That's a fairly large piece of real estate.
No,
Good.
we don't want to encourage events. In fact, there's a little bit of debate on our team is making it too nice. We want to get people, through there.
Mhm.
It's not going to be a comfortable space because you got cars whipping by each way.
Yeah, that's my question three.
And although I think people do take the path of least resistance
Uh-huh.
to get across the shortest distance between 2 points, you're gonna have to, in the wintertime, climb through snow, on the grass.
That's right. Actually, the grass itself
soft,
is a good
wet
deterrent.
surface, if it's raining, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I think they're gonna want a nice pleasant walk to get through.
And I think the advantage of having an activated light,
Absolutely.
because then it will stop traffic.
Mhm.
You don't have to pull,
Yeah.
jump across the road.
So.
Yeah, those are the logical places to be walking in terms of traffic.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and Mark's right, you know what you have to do to get into the sports center now.
Mhm.
Oh,
Crossing Big Beaver, anywhere in that area, you've got a signal,
Mhm.
people will walk to it.
Good.
Mhm.
Just, like I said, I'm
People
it's a
will walk.
good, it's a.
just trying to figure out
Oh,
what
absolutely.
could possibly go wrong.
And there
They
will
don't know.
be, there will be a handful of people who will know.
Yeah.
Just maybe one day, maybe all the time.
Yeah, of
But-
course.
No, I think that's great. And I have to say, I know that people always talk about overhead walkways.
Mhm.
This is so much more attractive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just,
Oh, it's beautiful.
And cheaper.
That's the bigger thing.
I was gonna say the overhead, even if we wanted to.
Oh, I know what they cost.
Yeah, you know that, yeah.
I'd ask this at the very beginning, let me ask this again, these bollards or whatever they're called, these little,
Yes,
are those heavy duty enough to withstand an automobile from hitting it, or is it just basically a light pole, or is it just?
no, I think the automobile's supposed to win.
Well,
I mean, there are certain standards which the road commission has that
Uh-huh.
you would want there to be, you would want to destroy the bollard and not as much as the car. I mean, you
Right.
would not want concrete,
right,
because that would be more severe for
yeah.
the car.
Yeah, again, my thought is just if you have a lot of people standing around there, and it is in the middle of Big Beaver, it's possible that somebody could pull right up there, and, because there's a certain level of vulnerability if you're on one of these medians. Just once again, just kind of think of the worst. But,
Well, if you notice, we try to direct them away from the road and then come back
Yeah.
over this way.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit of the argument, do we make this too inviting so people want to go in there?
yeah, but,
But on the other hand, we don't want a lot of grass
yeah,
that we have to maintain.
Right.
yeah, it looks like a thoroughfare, walkway, it does not look like a place where you should park,
right.
so.
You know, I just keep thinking about when I go into other big cities where they literally use these medians for bike lanes, walking lanes,
Oh.
Segway lanes, and skateboarding lanes. And in other communities, the coexistence of the pedestrian traffic and car traffic can and does work. We can do this.
Well, in other countries, they'll set up cafes there and set up tables.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Coffee places, you're
Yeah.
right.
That's right.
Yep,
Yeah.
we've all been there. So,
If I was sitting here saying, ooh, I've never seen this before, I don't know, but you see it everywhere else.
Everywhere.
Except here, so, and we can do this.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I like it, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So we're pleased.
Very.
Woo. Well, that bodes well for the budget then.
Well, that's
Just
what
say
it's set
it,
up
just
for.
say it, see what
Projects.
That's right. All right. Which of you wants to handle the budget discussion, or do you want to leave it to me?
I guess I'm gonna go. So, on page one, we made a correction in the third paragraph. The original document had the incorrect date of the creation of the LDFA. It's in 2003. So then we go to the next page, which is the meat of the budget. It's actually kind of hard to see up there. So what I'm gonna do is talk in columns. First, 2015 actual, those are actual numbers, not budget numbers, so those are what happened. So we took in just over $140,000 in property tax. We had almost $900 of interest income. Next, we go down to expenditures, and we paid Automation Alley for operations, $57,000. And we spent $106,000 on infrastructure, and that was for Big Beaver Road improvements and Bellingham. I've been driving Bellingham a little bit. It could use some other work. We're gonna try to, I mean, we're out, in this budget, we're allocating for the move across Troy. Maybe we're gonna try to go from standard funding to try to address that. We spent over $36,000 on tax tribunal and tax refunds. Charged $5,000 for our staff time administrative services, and then $17,500 for marketing costs. Membership as a foundation member of Automation Alley. Audit fees are just under $2,000. And then an unusual expenditure under other is we've been using Carlisle Wortman to help us prepare the plan to extend the LDFA and work jointly with Southfield, and those expenditures won't be in there in the future. So total expenditures were about $245,000, and at the end of the year, we had a fund balance of just under $13,000. So then we look at the next column, which is 2016 estimated, and that's, our budget adjustment, because when we go back in and approve the budget, we adjust the budget because we know things. So we're going to take in over $183,000 in tax revenues. As you know, it's going up, and that's important to note because it's going to be going down in the future. Interest income over $1,000, and we're proposing to pay $61,200 to Automation Alley, with $53,000 in infrastructure, which I'll have to double check to see if that is going to be expended on anything, because that would then carry over to fund balance. What was it? Administrative services, $5,000. I won't even mention that, keeps going. Marketing cost for membership is $17,500, which I won't mention again. And audit is just under $2,000. And then we put $5,000 in other for anything else that might come up. Then we move to the next column, which was 2016 budget. We don't really need to worry about that. That was what was approved. Okay, so now I'm drawing a line. I'm gonna, just a mental line right here between 2016, the current year, and 2017, okay? And what we've done in the plan that we're submitting to the MEDC is to clarify language which will dedicate 60% of the capture for operating expenses for Automation Alley. So what you will notice then is, once we go through, we're estimating about $160,000 of property taxes going down, $1,000 of interest income. The dedicated payment for operations goes up to 60% of that capture, and that will go on in the future and clearly dedicate 60% towards operations. And then the 40% can be spent on administrative fees, audit, and infrastructure. So we're talking in 2017, $53,000 in infrastructure. And once again, all the other costs are the same that we mentioned every year related to administrative services, marketing, and audit fees. Go to 2018, it's still going down. 2018, we're projecting we can hit the bottom of valuations. And personal property has something to do with that too, why it's even reduced more. So the revenues are $135,000, just over that. Interest income, we're putting at just over $1,000. So that means $63,720 goes to Automation Alley operations, and the placeholder $53,000 for infrastructure. 2019, the tax capture goes up a little bit to over $139,000. Interest income, we're guessing at just over $1,000. So therefore, over $66,000 gets dedicated to operations of Automation Alley, and the placeholder $53,000 for infrastructure. So that we adopt a 3-year budget, and our budget cycle is July 1st to June 30th. And then that's the actual expenditures portion of it. Down below goes into great detail about captured taxable value, and those numbers are taken into account for this district, not anywhere else in the city. And then the last page of the budget really just summarizes what type of taxing jurisdictions, millages, which are captured by the district.
To clarify, Mark mentioned the personal property tax, that is the elimination of the personal property tax, which is going to impact the future revenues on it.
Which I think is interesting. It's only industrial, it doesn't include high tech. And they have to apply for it, so if they don't apply for it, then it still can be applied. But we're requesting that you recommend this budget for approval to city council, which I believe will assemble to the next council meeting.
Questions, comments?
Two small questions. One is you didn't build in any expected inflation for some of your operating expenses, and, you know, maybe you live in a better world than I do. But, you know, even building in a 3 or 4 or 5% inflation into some of these costs you're gonna face.
Yeah, I know, I was talking to our financial guy, Tom Darling,
Uh-huh.
financial writer, he said, he goes, that audit price has been the same forever, they can't keep it up forever, they're gonna raise it. I hear what you're saying, but it just robs what we go towards infrastructure, because there's a limited pot.
I understand. So basically, you'll face it as it comes, but right now your planning is assuming it's essentially flat.
Yeah.
And it will probably be out of the 5,000 in other,
Yeah,
right?
could very well, and that's a reasonable way to do it, because you're only basically looking at a base here of, you know, $30,000 or something like that, so, you know, that's.
So comprehending it out of the other is
Yeah,
reasonable and conservative, right?
It's a classic budget fudge, right? It's fine. And then interest income, is that based upon, essentially on the value of this fund?
Yes,
Okay, and so we are assuming an interest rate of what? 3%? Because you're basically, that 1,100 looks to me like you're assuming you're carrying about $50,000 at a time in there.
well, we can answer what we have, if you look at the under expenditures.
It's
very minor.
Fund-
No, it is.
A little minor
It
asking, but
shows-
it's
You're
just,
exactly
it's
right.
just, it's just that, you know, it looked like a plug number to me.
Well,
Which
there's
is
a-
okay.
But if you look, we do have
It's so small.
ending fund balance, which,
Is
at the end of
roughly
this year is gonna be
$50,000.
54,000.
Yeah, that works.
54,000 the next year, and then it goes down to 44,000.
Yeah,
And then
31,
36, so
yeah,
it's
so-
going down.
It's not enough to work. I want to make sure you understood it.
Yeah, and that it wasn't out of someone's ear, yeah.
Right.
It's fine, it'll work.
Question and a comment. When we, at the bank, when we look at our financial statements of the companies I work with, it's nice to have a little bit more history. I mean, it shows trends. So as a budget, it's a you know, a guesstimate, and it shows averages. But when you look back, when you look at 2015, you see some out of the ordinary expenses. And a little bit more history would allow you to determine if they are in fact out of the ordinary.
Mhm.
Has infrastructure been more like 100,000 rather than 50,000? And I don't know how municipal accounting works and budgeting, so maybe this is common. But again, from my point of view, I was asking myself, is infrastructure out of the ordinary that year or not? Is other out of the ordinary or not? I mean, in 2014, would we have seen 5,000 in other
Yes.
category?
Yes, the 20,000 is out of the ordinary because we
Absolutely.
used a consultant to help us prepare the plan with Southfield. And then the 106,000 included,
May help. I
Carrie.
don't know, I mean, that was just in my book, it's
Thank
an
you.
old budget from
Yeah,
2014, 2015.
thank you.
but the $106,000 included fund balance moved over to raise it up. And really though, we're dealing with a limited amount of dollars, which is still decreasing from the Great Recession.
Right. It just begs someone, the average reader, to say,
What is that?
is it really, am I more apt to see something in the budget that's going to look like 2015?
Yeah.
But
We-
Lori,
actually-
provided, in fact, you know, your other category is more like $500 over history. So that plug number allows that wiggle space for inflation. So anyway, just
We,
an
actually,
observation.
our financial management system has a 5-year history that we can,
That might be helpful
we can
too.
easily call up. I mean, so for each line item, you just say, okay, boom, and then print it.
I think both observations, lots and lots of entities, both business and government entities, will have unusual items every year, and so if we assume that there won't be any in the future, that's probably not.
That's a good point.
That's true.
You know, like the 1 year, was it last year? The county captured taxes from a landowner twice in 1 year. So that was in our revenue 1 year, and then the next year we had to back it out. There was no mistake on ours.
I remember that.
And then a very minor point, and you've saved that there's 60% of the capture is going to be dedicated to Automation Alley,
Yes.
but that number doesn't show in the 63 and the 66 for 18 and 19. It's actually less than 50%.
Yeah.
That's just a rough math.
I kind of thought what you did was just subtracted out all the bottom 4 lines and then took 64 to the remainder.
Well, first is the capture.
Right? That's kind of what I
Good
figured.
eye.
See, but the capture for
135
this year
or 29.
would be significant, like almost twice as much as 60% of 183.
I'll show this next one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But it only gets implemented after 17,
Right.
so I only looked
Yeah.
at 17
So
and
let's see.
18,
So you got
or rather 18 and
36,
19.
470.
And maybe it doesn't get fully captured, and maybe there's a plan for it not being fully captured for a phase-in period.
And for 50?
Yeah, that's what I can.
Okay, that's 107 times 0.6, 60, yeah, it's pretty close.
Does it-
If you back off the 5,000, 17,500, 19,500, and 5,000, you take the remainder off that total, it's pretty close to 64.
No.
Very good.
Those gave us like $400 for 2018.
So gentlemen, are you of a mind to recommend the approval of this budget to council?
I am.
All right. Dave, would you like to second that?
Yes. I'd be glad to second it.
All right.
Check the math, Mark, if you don't mind, or Glenn, as far as if it is in fact supposed to be a strict 60% capture.
It's not
Of the
precisely.
capture, rather.
So with the caveat that the math be double-checked for appropriate capture and dispensing to Automation Alley, this board has a motion on the table to recommend to council that they approve this budget as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Board member comments. Anybody have anything for the good of the order? All right. Nope, there. Irene, you got anything from the county you want to bring us up to date on?
Oh, there's a lot going on. Our economic outlook luncheon is May 5th. We always try to outdo the economists in producing that. Our annual report is complete. It'll be passed out at the annual economic outlook luncheon. Just a sneak peek. My team worked on, with partnerships like the City of Troy, Glenn and Mark, $850 million in new investment in Oakland County. What's interesting about that fact is over a third of that is foreign direct investment. So that is something we're very proud of. And our workforce, 4.2% unemployment rate. So we're really focusing on putting resources into talent recruitment, into these jobs that we have open here in Oakland County and to the region too, because we're not opposed to stealing people from outside of Michigan to come work for these great jobs here. So working on all that stuff.
Terrific. Thank you. Things are looking up. It's a good place to live and work. All right. Absent any other comments? Ellen?
Just a real quick update. I have to bring up our offsite that we had with staff, planning commission, members of our DDA that helped set the stage for the priorities for the budget study sessions that the council is currently in. We had our first budget study session Thursday night. Our second one is tonight. We're to be approving the budget on the May 9th meeting. But the offsite was extremely well done. Staff was creative, innovative, collaborative, with outside cities that we can model ourselves after and learn from, challenge themselves to a lot of creativity, really pushing forward. You know, the theme was Breaking Bad. It's about how do we move. We're in a great position with our bond rating and where we stand now as a community to really look at how do we keep moving ourselves forward. And every person I talked to who attended the offsite was challenged in their thinking, upbeat. There was a lot of creative, honest dialogue and priority setting, and it just, I wish every resident and business owner in Troy could have felt the energy in the room throughout the process. It was a very constructive and vision setting, but very practical too. It was very pragmatic discussion. And you know, I've been around the block a few times in corporations with offsites and visioning sessions, and they can be somewhat kumbaya, and it's, you know, they're great. It was very, very pragmatic as well. And I applaud staff. It's a great time to be, as you just said, Robin, to be in Troy, to be in this region. And it has really set the stage for going forward in the budget. We're looking at the Civic Center property specifically and some visioning that can go on there. Again, if you had attended the offsite, it would be, we want to do this. We need to do this. We would be remiss. It would be a colossal failure of leadership if we didn't take the time to look at the potential there and understand it. So I share that because that kind of goes on and nobody really has a sense of it.
Right.
And you know, I appreciate your involvement with this so very, very much. And I wanted you to know it. There's everything is connecting. Am I crazy or am I overly upbeat? Everybody always says, "Oh, Alan, you're such a natural cheerleader." It's like, no. It's a really. I'm not just cheerleading. I'm not just, you know. It was a very, very. I was exhausted that night. That was how mentally engaged we were, and the entire staff that was involved. Whether it was an area that was in their wheelhouse on a day-to-day basis or not, they were fully engaged, absolutely informed. And so you have people working in specific areas serving the city, but they're clearly looking, they understand their fit and their vision within that. These are the things I look for that makes for a great collaborative employee base and energy and ideas and you know, obviously I could go on and on, but you all deserve to know that that is kind of bubbling behind the scenes, and as you see us move forward, you know, sometimes when we want to invest in the future, we can get all tripped up in it. If you have questions, please contact us. If you get it, speak to it positively if you could, because there is just a really positive groundswell there, and I think the only thing that could hold us back is an inadvertent wet blanket coming out of nowhere, and I hate to see that happen. It's happened to us in this city before, and not that there shouldn't be good questions, but you know, that constructive dialogue that needs to go on in the discourse as we move forward, but I think that the only thing that would work against us is maybe perhaps misunderstanding or misinformation, or you know, this train is leaving this station with this energy, and if you didn't understand what that train was, which I get it, I get if you're not in the midst of everything, you wouldn't understand. So it was a very, very positive milestone, I think, in our city's history, that offsite, and has really set the stage for us. And I just want to pass on the appreciation, continued appreciation to staff. Yeah, the county would, you guys would have loved it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love those kind of
Yeah,
things,
you would just-
brainstorming things.
Yeah, you wish you could bottle it up and, you know.
Keep it in your desk for
Yeah.
when you have bad days, you can just pull it
Yeah.
up and say, oh, yeah, I
That
remember
energy.
that retreat.
It's a really, really good, positive, constructive energy, and we can seize the day, if you will, with that. It's a good thing. Did I capture that okay? Am I missing some key point that you guys wish I would say?
I mean, other than, I mean, part of the weekend was held at Lost College. It was
Yes, yes, it
fabulous.
was. And it was
the other part of it
fabulous
was
to
at the
see.
Kresge Foundation,
Nice.
the newly renovated Kresge Foundation.
Yeah, it took us out of our element, but we were in Troy.
And it's-
That's a good thing.
And it was just very, yeah,
It's good to know.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's been about 10 years since maybe that feeling was there after a lot of.
Well, it's been there the past couple years as we've, you know,
We get over a lot
managed
with the
through some
downturn.
things. And thanks to some really outstanding past leadership and difficult decisions, it really sets, we are well set in this community to do things right. And, you know, Robin, I have to say, as a city council member now, every time we are talking these issues through, I am so eternally grateful for the tough decision-making that was made. It was the right thing, and it really, so yeah, we've been healing, and we're breaking bad now. Now it's going.
Well, that's a good thing, so.
Yeah.
On that positive note, I think this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.